Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. So I'm going to be reviewing this book in this video. Now, I've talked a lot about The Expanse on my channel, and because it's a sci-fi property I really enjoy and really like. But I've talked about the show, I've done a video about some of the lore, but I haven't actually talked about the novels themselves. So I thought I would start reviewing the series. Now I'm up to book 7. 7 was the most recent one I finished that one last month. So I was going to do a review that one, but if I'm going to review 7, I might as well review them all. So I'm going to start right from the first one. So I read this book back in 2012. Now the first time I heard about it was actually 2010, and I heard about it through the Science Fiction Book Club. It was in one of their brochures of upcoming books that were coming out, and I wanted to order it through them, but that's right at the time they went out of business here in Canada and they disappeared. They folded up, so I couldn't get it. So I finally got the book in 2012 in its paperback form, and so I decided just to keep buying them in that format, so they're all kind of uniform on the bookshelf, that paperback look. And now, out of all the 7 books I've read, the first one is by far, still in my mind, the best one in the series. I read this book and I absolutely loved the first one. Now, as you go on through the series, some of the books, some of the other entries are hit and miss. But this one is like a grand slam. I loved it, and it was the one that got me hooked on the whole franchise. It's the reason I kept plowing through some of the ones that weren't so good. And it was the reason I got into the show, the role-playing game, everything with this book. And it's got the best story, and in my opinion, it's even got the best cover art, this book. And what I like about these books is I like the size of them. Like, it's like paperback. It's almost like that hardcover size, but it's like a paperback or a trade back. And makes it really, really easy to read. Opens up really nice, sits open well, and I find they're comfortable books to read. It sounds kind of foolish, but that's how it is. Now, as for the story, I'll give a quick rundown of the plot. So it's in the future, like in the 23rd century, I believe. They don't specifically give a date for when this story takes place, but it's around the same time period as, say, the original Star Trek. But humanity is nowhere near advanced in this universe as they are in the Star Trek universe. So humanity, they're still pinned into the solar system, and their ships are powered by Epstein drives that can keep pushing that can burn fuel efficiently enough that they can keep accelerating. And as their ship gets heavier, they don't require more and more fuel, because in real life, if you had a rocket and you want to go faster and faster and faster, well, your rocket would get heavier and heavier and heavier under the thrust. So to go faster, you'd need bigger and bigger and bigger fuel tanks, which would cause your ship to get heavier and heavier. And so it's like it would end up defeating itself. But they have almost like a magical rocket technology in this book, so they can keep accelerating. Their ships get heavier, but they don't require more fuel. So with that advancement, they were able to completely colonize the solar system. And so that's the kind of world this is set in. And it's the universe is divided into, or the solar system is divided into 3 major political groups. You have the inner planets, which make up Mars and Earth. So Mars is an independent colony from Earth in this time period. They succeeded and broke away from Earth government, and now they're independent, and they have their own navy, military, and all that kind of stuff. And the Martians are held together by a common dream, and that's terraforming Mars. And then you have Earth. That's where all the big, powerful mega corporations are and stuff like that. And they also has a very, very powerful navy. They have a larger navy than Mars, but their navy isn't as powerful as the Martian navy. Their ships aren't quite as advanced, but they outnumber the Martian ships. And so they have a peace going, but every now and then tensions between Earth and Mars does get kind of heated every now and then. And then you have the third group, which is the outer planets, or otherwise known as the Belters. And the Belters in this world, they're kind of like the oppressed class in this. They're kind of oppressed by the inner planets, stuff like that, and they're kind of being taken advantage of by big mega corporations and stuff like that. And so they are the ones that make up like terrorist groups, and they have pirates and all that kind of stuff in there. And so there's always tension between the outer planets and the inner planets. So that's the setup for the world. And so in the story, the main characters, you have James Holden, Naomi Nagata, Alex Kamel, and Amos. So they're the four, and they're part of a crew on an ice hauler. Then they end up getting hold of a Martian gunship, and that's where the story kind of takes off when they get this new ship. And then they get pulled into a mystery. The mystery of the missing girl called Julie Mao. And so James Holden is, they want to solve the mystery of this missing girl. But not only him, there's another character, because the story bounces back and forth between two characters, James Holden and Detective Miller. So that's what I love about this first book. It is like a hard-boiled detective story in space. That's what I really liked about it. And it just, and the story moves all over the solar system as they're looking for this girl, trying to solve this mystery, trying to track her down. And the other big mystery is there is an alien molecule that gets found called a proto-molecule, and it's basically the one, because this book is hard science fiction, but it's got like almost like two, like almost like not magical but fantastical elements. You got the Epstein drive, and then you got the proto-molecule that can do all the stuff that bend the laws of physics and all that kind of stuff, but everything else is kept as realistic as possible. So that's why I really loved this book and really enjoyed it, just because it was like this hard-boiled detective story in space, and I love the character of Detective Miller. I really like that character, and he's really good in the show too. The actor that portrays him does a fantastic job. And that's the other thing, you get a great detective story, great mystery, lots of combat in this story, like gun battles, all that kind of stuff, and really well done characters. So if you haven't read this book, you really have to read it. Now, the one drawback to this book is it's part of a very large series, so it doesn't have an absolute conclusion to it. It has a setup for the next book, and each book is like that. There's things they set up in this book that gets resolved in the next one, and there's always a little bit of a cliffhanger. Like, none of them feel like a conclusion until I guess you get to the last book, 9, which isn't out yet, be out next year. So that's the one drawback. It's not a self-contained one-off. It's part of a larger story. So if you're going to read it, know that it's part of a larger series, that if you decide to get on board now, it's going to be a big commitment, because there's 9 books, and they're not small. They're all like 500-600 pages a pop. So it's a very large, very vast story with a lot of characters to keep track of too. There's a lot of characters that come and go in these novels, which is another reason why I really like the first one a lot, is because it bounces back and forth between two characters. You got James Holden and Miller, the Detective Miller. So it goes back and forth between those two characters. Where the other books, it starts bouncing back chapters between multiple characters. So that's how the and this is how the chapters are set up. They're set up, as you can see, chapter 23, Holden. So it rotates, each chapter rotates. So one chapter is from Holden's perspective, the next chapter is from Detective Miller's perspective. And actually pretty nice font too, how they did the font for this book, really easy to read. So pretty nice. So there's that. And now the other thing that I like, and all the Expanse books are like this. I don't know how they do it, but the chapters are easy to read because they're never any longer or any less than 10 pages. So each chapter is roughly 10 pages. Sometimes almost every one of them is like on the dot 10 pages long. So you can like get in a couple chapters a night before bed. or you can get in multiple chapters a day. So that makes the reading experience feel easier. Because I know I've read books where one chapter will be like 80 pages or 90 pages, and it's just like, oh, you know, like there's almost like no break in that chapter. So it makes it, for me anyway, that makes it a little bit more difficult to read. So yeah, this is a fantastic science fiction book, and it is a great series to get into, especially this first one. So the first one's really good. When you read the first one, it'll definitely hook you, and you'll probably want to continue on with the rest of the books. Now, unfortunately, not all the books are up to the same level as the first one. The first one is by far, in my opinion, the best one. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.